we actually had we actually invited Senator Adeshewe Ogunlewe, who was inevitably absent from this program, but joining us is a legal practitioner and also members of a representative of the Congress for Progressive Change. And this is our first discussant, Mr. Yinka Odumake. You're welcome on Politics Today.
It's my pleasure.
And Barrister Obani.
Mr. Shiru, it's my
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, the reality on ground is the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal have upheld the election of Mr. President, and we've seen the reactions from this, and I would like to take you on this the first shot on this, Comrade Yinka Odumake, pardon me.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed when you heard the ruling of this case?
Not at all, because the ruling of the tribunal was, to many of us, was mere formality. At the moment the original panel came under attack with the removal of Justice Ayo Salami, who was presiding over that court, who was the President Court of Appeal, removed on a Sunday by the President, following what many have called the legal recommendation of NJC. When that decision was taken, and the panel was rejigged, and the first assignment of the new panel was to discard the earlier order of the tribunal, that biometric analysis.
Yeah, let's get this in a concise form now. Are you saying if Justice Ayo Salami had been present as the President of the Court of Appeal, it would have favored
No.
Change?
I'm beating up that I'm telling you the factors that made the judgment not to be a surprise to many of us was that after the removal, because the appeal court under Salami had nullified elections in Ondo, in Osun, in Ekiti and Edo State based on forensic analysis of ballot papers. Now, when the new panel came, the first thing they did was say that no more forensic analysis. It was at that point that our lead counsel then, Mr. Bushofunde SCN, said that look, they have casted this case. Let's get out of court. But the party insisted in its own wisdom that the case should still go on. And at that point that Mr. Bushofunde, out of his own, withdrew from the case and refunded part of the fees they are taking from the party. So when you now say no more forensic analysis, Jega should not come to court, those are the two planks.
Let me come in here. Over 40 witnesses were submitted and they were all discarded from this, from providing evidence as lacking merit. So now, would you say it's a legal flaw on the part of CPC now not being able to discharge the burden of proof on the possibility of on the weight of this possibility?
No, I said the tribunal removed all the planks, most of the planks, for the party to fill this case. If someone says that elections did not hold in so many states, or 20 states, proper elections are not conducted, the natural thing is to allow them to do a forensic analysis of the ballot papers. You gave another, the court gave another, but the moment they changed the panel, in the middle of the case, the new panel said you cannot do that anymore. Professor Jega, who collected 100 billion naira to do biometric registration of voters, was asked to come to court by the old panel. The new panel said no, the other has been very, it should not come. So once you don't have forensic analysis, you don't have the data of the elections, and you now say that the petitioner has failed to prove his case. Did you allow it to prove his case? That's the issue.
So let's just look at the legal framework now. About 1.5 hours was used to hear this case, and that shows some level of careful
the judgment,
deliberation. The judgment, permit me.
Okay.
And just to bring a legal perspective into this issue now. So do you think that we have a strong legal framework to handle cases of election petition?
Well, thank you, Ashiru. My position has always been this, that the judiciary should be minimally involved in the resolution of electoral disputes. that elections and the result of elections should be determined at the voting centers. That's the sovereign will of the people should be made manifest at the electoral booth. The moment you involve judiciary, and then that judiciary is being infiltrated by politicians, the giants, that you may not begin to get the best result, of the manifestations of the will of the people. So I have always advocated that as much as we can, let us involve the judiciary in a less manner in resolution of electoral dispute. Rather, we should now evolve a system of electoral system in which elections should be seen as free and fair at all levels.
So now to put this succinctly now,
yes.
Would you describe this as a miscarriage of justice?
I won't come to that conclusion. What I'm trying to say that is this. The judicial arm most of the time have risen to its responsibility in restoring the hope and even the mandate of the people. We have seen it in many instances. We have also seen in many instances where judicial arm of the government has also betrayed the people's vote and even their sovereign will in most instances. And because this arm is also occupied by human beings who are not infallible. They are subject to fallibility and all that. And with that in mind, let us begin to evolve a system in which our electoral system should be seen as transparent, should be seen as fair, and electoral result determined at the electoral centers, at the voting centers, not at the court. We should minimize the involvement of the court. Now, what happened in the election petition you just mentioned was that you ask somebody to prove his case, and then he doesn't have the data within which to prove his case, and you allege criminality in the electoral process, and the law says you must prove beyond reasonable doubt. And so if there is any iota of doubt in the mind of a judge in allegation of crime, of course the matter will be decided.
Now let's create a balance. We have two sides aggrieved. We have two parties now.
Yes.
Slugging it out now.
Yes.
And within the provisions of the law,
that's
now,
right,
the PDP had emerged victorious.
That's right.
That doesn't seem to carry any note of bias, doesn't it?
Yes, my position has always been that even Buhari himself stood a better chance in 2007 than in 2011. I have said that even before they went to court.
But let's just look at within under the context, within the provisions of the law.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Would you say that the PDP had won fairly and squarely?
Is he in the court or now at
the court?
Well, in the court, there was no evidence that CBC adduced because they had no evidence whatsoever to prove their case. They asked for a biometric data, which was in the custody of INEC, and that was a previous ruling made in their favor that this thing should be made available to them. A new panel now came up and said, look, you have no right whatsoever to have access, because that was a secret document that should not be exposed to a political party. That was the ruling of the court, that if you do that, that would be a breach of the law. I don't know which law he was referring to, but the point is this: without such a very vital evidence as a political party, I don't know what CPC was doing even continuing with the defense of that case, because there is nothing for you to present before the court in order to convince the court that this is my own case and I have won this election based upon this evidence I'm presenting. And that was why he told you that Sofunde himself, a senior advocate of Nigeria, at that point in time knew that he had nothing to present before the court and withdrew and refunded the fees. So I don't know what CPC was doing. Even the threat of now going to Supreme Court. I don't even know what evidence they will now present before the Supreme Court, because the lower court has looked at evidence and looked at the witnesses and didn't find any iota of evidence within which to give CPC judgment in this matter. I had felt that CPC had stood no better chance in this electoral dispute in the court. And I have advised so that at this time they stood a better chance in 2007, but this time around, Nigerians actually, even though there are some irregularities, voted for Jonathan. Many people did not, I may not agree with this, but many people voted for Jonathan at this point, even though we have irregularities in the south, in the southeast. Now I would have advised them not to have gone to court. Now they have gone to court, yes.
For the sake of posterity now,
yes.
It's better we look at this, the judgment of Justice Kumai Bayang Akar, who said the CPC's petition lacked merit in its entirety, and also blamed it on its inability to discharge the burden of proof on the balance of possibility. Probability.
Yes.
So what is the implication of this?
It means that CPC was not able to convince the tribunal that it should nullify the election result that was returned by INEC, because there was no substantial miscarriage of electoral irregularity, irregularity that would have warranted a political party to have been declared the winner by the court. That's what it means. When you are alleging electoral irregularity, you must now prove before the court either you allege crime on beyond reasonable doubt. If it's issue of civil, it's on balance of probability. So both on the allegation of crime, both on civil balance of probability, they felt that they have not in any way proved their case.
Now, before we forge ahead, let's just look at Section 33 of the Electoral Act that has attracted lots of controversies.
Yes, sir.
So do you think it's time we look at amending this Electoral Act 2010?
What was the provision of that Section 33? What does it say? You need to say what is the special provision of that particular section. I think the issue of proof initially was on the party alleging irregularity, but I think amendment was not done, shifting the proof now on INEC. INEC now, if you have returned somebody as the winner of a particular election, you should come to court and say this man has won this election. The onus now was not shifted to INEC. But in all the results that I've been hearing, in all the electoral tribunal cases that have returning the result, it's always that the proof is still, the onus is resting on the petitioner. I've never seen where that particular onus have shifted to INEC, who now return the candidate. So come and prove that you return this person based on irregularity. So it has always been shifted to the petitioner, and that is still a problem for us in electoral dispute in Nigeria. And I'm saying it here that the judiciary should not be all the time involved in resolution of electoral dispute. It should be determined at the election centers.